Welcome back to TYT Sports, everybody. The Thunder defeated the Golden State Warriors. I should actually say routed the Golden State Warriors 133-105 on their home court to take a 2-1 series lead. I'm with Francis Maxwell and a new host, Ben Mankiewicz, who I think works for TCM. Ben, would you like to introduce yourself?
My name is Ben Mankiewicz. That's Mankiewicz, and I'm very happy to be here. I heard a lot about you guys.
Nice.
Great
Thanks
to have
for
you
joining
on,
us.
man.
Don't, by the way, just feel comfortable. It's almost just act as if you're just
Here's
talking
the
to
thing,
us.
I don't think I have a microphone.
See, that's the standard. That's what happens when you bring in a new host. You'll make a career out of it. Don't worry.
Durant and Westbrook combined to go 20 of 34 from the field. They did it all in 3 quarters of action. But the Thunder, at least in my opinion, reverted back to their Game 1 strategy, which is team basketball. Dion Waiters has the ability to pass the ball that we've never seen in the NBA before. Enes Kanter played well. Andre Roberson is really picking the best time to step up, and Steven Adams has been dominant on the glass. We know Russell Westbrook and Kevin Durant are going to be needed to do these combined 64 points from the field, and Russell Westbrook played that triple-double style of baskall.
Yeah, I mean, we would have had a triple-double. It was just it was too insulting to leave him in the game.
Yeah.
Well, that's so you bring up that point, which is interesting, because at any point, the commentators, so I think it was Chris Webber and Reggie Miller, kept saying, of all teams to make a comeback in this game right now, the Golden State Warriors have the ability to come down, drive down the court, and rain threes, right?
But they were making that point when it was 41 points in the late third quarter?
Yes, they were. They made it all through the second quarter, all through the third quarter. Granted, the Thunder didn't take their foot off the gas, and I give Billy Donovan a lot of credit for that.
Billy Donovan did a really interesting thing, I thought, because of course we all expect to come back, and I didn't bet on that game, but I was constantly looking at the in-game odds, right? Mm-hmm. And at halftime, when the Thunder led by 27, 72-45, or 72-47, they led by 25, the Warriors were 9-point favorites in the second half, so you could have taken the Thunder minus 16 at that point. You could have gotten a minus 15.5. And I thought, at first I thought, I'll take the Warriors, they'll make the comeback. And then I was like, no, the Thunder, they're up 25. Why wouldn't you take a team you're already winning the bet, right? And then as the thing went on, there were so many opportunities but it kept moving in the other direction. And then when the Thunder got up 37, the Warriors came down and they hit 2 threes in a row, I believe. Maybe it even got to 39, but they cut it to 31. Right? They cut the lead to 31, and Billy Donovan called timeout. And it's just most of the time in the NBA, when you're losing a big lead at the beginning stages of it, coaches, you want to be cool. Like, hey, we're up 28. Okay, we're up 19. It's no big deal. And then all of a sudden, you're up 7. Right? Yeah. And here, Donovan was like, no, it went from 37 to 31. They hit 2 threes. I'm not letting them get. It's not a question of letting them get hot. I don't think he can stop that. But what he can do is refocus those guys and say, hey, let's play like you're up 2.
Yeah.
Because if we let it go 5 more minutes and we're still up 35, then they've literally run out of time.
I know exactly what period you're talking about, and it's when I think Billy Donovan does a great thing of ensuring that they do the simple things great. The rebounding has been phenomenal. I think the first Game 1, the rebounding is what separated them. And I think that you mentioned it there. You've got Adams stepping up. You've got Dion Waiters, who's just a new man in the postseason. He's playing phenomenally well. But Serge Ibaka comes out of nowhere again in this game, right? So he racks up 14 points, 8 rebounds, 2 blocks, 2 steals, and that was in that transition period where they started to pull away. And that's what I've seen in Game 1 and now in Game 3, is it's those significant moments. At half, we had Russell Westbrook go on a ridiculous streak, in Game 1, but it was the offensive rebounding of Kanter and Adams that allowed for him to continuously get the possession of the ball, continuously transition. And it is team basketball. Yes, you're going to get Kevin Durant and Russell Westbrook get hot and go on these ridiculous scoring sprees, but it's the rough work in the paint. It's the rough work offensive rebounding that you're seeing from Adams, Ibaka, and Kanter in there, which is causing this disruption for Golden State.
Yeah, the Warriors aren't playing their game, which I find amazing to me. I mean, look, I've seen the Warriors mostly every single game of their 73-win season, which, Ben, you'll attest to the regular season not really mattering. This might be a good example of it. The Warriors, at no point when they were winning games, at least in the regular season and in the playoffs, would run down the court, use 3 seconds of a shot clock, and jack up a 3 unless they were hot and in transition on a 10-0 scoring run. You'd see it cap off a scoring run. You'd see that 12-2 run become a 15-2 run because Curry pulls up from 35 feet. But it doesn't get to that point until they actually get some form of offense working.
Well, yeah, but yes, that's true. And they took some terrible and un-Warrior-like shots, but most of those came when they were already in this
A hole?
giant hole.
Yeah.
And so that bred different kind of behavior. No NBA team, I say this without having any idea whether it's true, but it's probably true. No NBA team has ever won a game where their opponent shot 58%. And so what took the Warriors out was the fact that the Thunder kept not missing.
That's
and if you
true.
combine that with the Warriors going through a period of not shooting well in the second quarter, and the Thunder keep shooting 60%, then all of a sudden you're down 25 points, and then you start shooting bad shots, and then the Thunder kept it on, and then you're down 41 points.
There's not much you can do.
Yeah, so like I don't know that you can read that much into it. Defensively was where they failed. The end of for example, the game was over, but the end of the third quarter of that game looked like an all-star game.
Yeah.
I mean, there were 4 good shots taken in the last 12 seconds. I think 3 of them were buckets, and then the Thunder got that great fun look open 3 from Ibaka. He just missed it, or otherwise. I was thinking, man, I should have bet the second half over because they've just scored 9 points in 2 seconds here because they're just goofing around.
Yeah.
So I think the game's an aberration, and it's an aberration, but while acknowledging that the Thunder is clearly extremely good and capable of winning the series. We just looked online. The Warriors are still the favorite to win this series, down 2-1 to a team that's obviously really good, not an upstart, right? They're not down 2-1 to the Hawks.
Yeah.
They're down 2-1 to the Thunder with Durant and Westbrook. The Thunder have home court advantage. The Warriors have 2 more opportunities to win in Oklahoma City in games 4 and 6, and they're still minus 135. They're still the favorites.
Well, I'm okay with that. And the reason why is I'm on the same board as you, Ben, with the regular season not really meaning much in comparison to what we see in the postgame. But then when it comes to the postseason, every analysts that have been paid thousands upon thousands to watch this game inside out, they just jump on the bandwagon after each sway in the pendulum.
That's
right? So OKC win game 1. Holy shit, they're going to go on and win it. Golden State come back the next game, and suddenly Golden State are back to the way that they've been playing during the regular season, are going to go on and destroy them. And the same thing even happened in the next game we're going to talk about with Toronto and Cleveland. Cleveland didn't do anything much different than what they had done in previous games. They just missed some of the open looks, which happens. But Toronto took advantage of that. And it's the same way. I don't have a problem with Golden State still being the favorite because they missed 23 3-point shots in this game.
I know we got to go, but let me just jump in on Francis here because Francis is about to become me, and it's fantastic. Because his point is, hey, man, nothing like you have to take a long view, and you're encouraged on television to have a strong opinion, and there shouldn't really be a strong opinion. The only strong opinion is that these playoffs have been pretty terrible in the NBA. We just saw the series everyone was excited for. We just saw back-to-back, largely unwatchable, uncompetitive games. Game 1 was pretty good, but the number of intensely played, terrific playoff games in this playoffs has been
2.
Yeah, 2 or 3. And the Game 7, Toronto and Miami.
Blazers-Warriors was a good series.
Blazers-Warriors was a good series, but the Blazers had never had any chance. It was this.
No, but it was a good 5-game series.
I got it, but I mean, it was not super competitive, and the Blazers would never have been there if their previous opponent hadn't lost their 2 best players.
That's
so so we were robbed of a series that we thought we wanted to see in the Clippers-Warriors, and then we get really all the way through in the East too, just one uncompetitive game after another. I have a feeling that that's just random and it'll change. And you're right. I think it's right why the Warriors are minus 135 because if the Warriors were plus 125, I'd bet on them.
Yeah,
and if I'd bet on them, billions of other people would bet on them too. But they ought to win Game 4, and that becomes must-see TV.
All right, so we got to get into the Draymond Green nut kick and whether or not he should be suspended. So Draymond Green once again took out, unfortunately, Steven Adams down under. Steven Adams has been on the second.
I get it.
He's been on. This is like the 3rd or 4th time he's been on the end of a Warriors player kicking him in the nuts. This one was pretty obviously dirty and pretty obviously there was intent. Now the problem is it was called a flagrant one on the floor, which means there has to be indisputable evidence that there was intent. And from what I've read, according to most sources, including the Oklahoman, they mentioned that it's going to be nearly impossible to prove intent from it. So it's going to be nearly impossible to suspend Draymond Green a game, which would also be a very drastic move, at least in my opinion. People know that I'm a fan of Draymond Green. I like Draymond Green. So maybe I'm a little biased towards this one. I'm curious what you guys think in terms of whether or not he should be suspended again.
I think that it shows a little bit of immaturity in this example. We know that Draymond Green plays on passion, right? And he is driven by his intensity. But definitely a lot of officials and fans' eyes were already on Draymond because he was claimed to have kicked Steven Adams in the nuts in Game 2, even though when he drove to the rim, I didn't see any intention in it because he's just a physical player. His body just followed through. This situation, it's a little bit more obvious, and I think that shows that despite the fact that we were not as much like getting on top of Draymond Green's back because of how passionate he is, this is where a little word in the ear could go a long way. Whether it's Steve Kerr just saying, all right, Draymond, I know that your passion drives your game and you say that people have to be more like you in order to obtain greatness. But when everyone's eyes are already on you, and specifically when you're going up against this opponent where he's above, gone back and forth physically, you might just need to just keep it in check a little bit because that could hinder them. If he was to go on and be suspended, he, as we talked about all season, is the second best player on that Golden State team, undoubtedly. And he is the X factor, and they make them predominantly better when he's on the court. And I think that if he is suspended, I would hate to see it because I want an even game. I want an even series. I don't want any other complications coming in. Well, they won that game because Draymond Green was out. I just hope that they don't take it that far. But a word in the ear on the big man can go a long way.
The Warriors have been in this exact position before. They were down 2-1 in the conference semis last year. They're down 2-1 in the NBA Finals last year. So were the Lakers in 2000. So were the Lakers in 2001.
2-1 is nothing.
Other teams have been down in this situation.
Even games matter. Everybody talks about Game 1, Game 3.
Game 2, 4, and 6.
Games 2, 4, and 6. Like, first of all, every stat you read, the team that wins Game 1 wins 70% of the series, whatever it is. The team that wins Game 2 wins 70% of the series. Like, it does. Like, it's not like just. And if the team that wins Game 2 wins Game 1, then obviously.
What about Game 5?
Game 5 in a 2-2 series. Here's what you get: a 3-1 series. Game 5 can be pretty important.
Yeah.
Draymond Green, like, in the world of reasonable people, of course it was intentional. So, like so in a sense, the NBA should just be bold on that and say no. It's So their rule is like unless you see a guy go, right, then it's not. Then they're not calling it as they can't determine intent. But it's again that was not part of playing basketball.
No.
So but I hope he doesn't get suspended because. From just a competitive point of view, because obviously they have their chances of winning Game 4 without him, and that'll put them down 3-1. Again, they have two cracks. They can win Game 4 in Oklahoma City or Game 6. They don't have to win Game 4, although it'll feel like the world is caving in on them. But being down 3-1, if you win Game 5 at home, you're down 3-2, and every series is 3-2 after 5 games or it's over.
Right. So
it's not the worst case scenario. But I don't know that anybody needs to whisper in his ear. He's a professional athlete and presumably knows that I shouldn't get suspended from a playoff series against a team that can obviously beat us. This is terrible news. All of this is terrible news as the world recognizes for the Washington Wizards. Because all of this, but all of this means that Durant seems much more like
City.
We've been in Oklahoma City.
He's staying in Oklahoma City. Comment below if you thought about the game.